It really bothers me thinking about if I would have just gotten started investing $100 a month when I was 20, okay? I was spending that eating out and going to parties at 20. If I had done that every single month between then and now, oh my goodness, it makes me so upset thinking about where I could have been as far as my net worth goes. So, if you are in a place right now where you realize you need to start investing, this video is for you. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing a few of the ways that I got started with investing. This is actually going to be the first in a series about leveling up your finances. I truly do believe that if you are already in a relationship, you have a spouse like I do, you're not going the route of marrying wealthy, this is going to be something that I think will make you very successful at becoming a wealthy and affluent woman and couple. So I'm going to actually not dive too far deep into how my husband and I manage our finances together. I'll actually upload a quick IGTV video about that, and I'll share some of the things we do as far as budgeting, how we stay on the same page as much as we can with our investing efforts and all of that good stuff over on my Instagram at Leisha Leveling Up. If you aren't following yet, just go ahead and request a follow and send me a message just to say hello. I don't want to scare anyone, but investing can be risky. And so I have to leave this disclaimer that, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not certified. Anything that I share in this video is just for your entertainment purposes only. And it's from my personal unique situation. So please keep that in mind. Now let's continue. I want to share first about the mindset that I think that it takes to get started investing. I did not start investing until I had developed a much better mindset about money. I did not grow up in a rich family. I did not actually grow up learning how to budget or learning how to make money work for me. I only really knew about getting a job and then saving as much money and don't spend your money on frivolous things. So that's my background. That's where I came from, and a lot of you probably are very much the same. But I think that it is very important as feminine women that we do have an understanding of money and how that works. I think that being a part of a household and managing a household, you need to understand how the bills are paid, where that money comes from, just in case anything were to happen. There's been so many women that have no knowledge whatsoever of how the finances work. They have not built anything for themselves on the side. And I think that in our modern society, it is ultimately just of extreme importance to make sure you have this investing and financial understanding. As far as your money mindset goes, I started out by doing a lot of research and studying. And I don't think that you need to necessarily get to a certain point with your knowledge before you start investing. In fact, I'm gonna tell you right after I go through these resources to get started with, I'm gonna tell you to go ahead and set up some accounts while you're studying. But first of all, if you are in the phase of you're trying to pay off debt, you're trying to get to a point where you are able to actually invest, then I recommend the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Great strategies for just getting a handle on your debt and just understanding that it is important to pay that off. And then another book about personal finance that I love is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. I've mentioned this before, but it's a wonderful take on personal finance, and also I love how he puts the approach to saving money as far as your spending habits go. And you may be getting that $3 coffee every day, but there are actually $30,000 savings and questions that you should be asking yourself when it comes to how can I save money. That frugal mindset is something to be very, very careful with if you're on a leveling up journey. You don't want to put yourself into a mindset of lack. We always want to be staying in a general energy of abundance, and how do I create more abundance in my life? But that's probably a topic for another video. So continuing on, I have 3 more books that I wanted to share. The first book that I really got started with and changed my entire mindset about how to earn money and really helped me understand that I needed to make money work for me was this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Wonderful content, not necessarily telling you to go out there and start a business. Talks about just essentially the overall principles behind how to make your money work for you. It was this book that really got me started by taking what I earned every month and taking some of that and putting it aside for myself first before I was even going out to pay bills or buy things that were just kind of random. But I was putting my money into accounts that were going to be growing and working after I read that book. The other book that I would highly recommend about that will help your money mindset is The Richest Man in Babylon. This is a very quick read. It's very thin, as you can see, but there are also some questions in the back that I highly recommend taking out your journal with and going through. It's an anecdotal type of book where you'll learn from one man's journey from not being a very wealthy man to being the wealthiest man in all the land, and he shares all of the principles behind how he achieved that status. And then the last book I'll recommend is Unshakable by Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has another book called Money Master the Game. But this book, Unshakable, really has gotten my wheels turning on how to go about setting up different investments. So that way, when things like what's happened this year happen, you know that your wealth is going to be unshakable and you can continue to even take advantage of years like this year. Before I share the next couple of things that you should do to start taking action and building your foundation for investing, I wanted to say that this year, even though it has been one of the absolute worst years for the entire world, I have actually made more income than I have ever made in my life before. And I'm very thankful for that. I don't say that lightly. In fact, I get a little emotional thinking about that. I'm so grateful. But I say that because it's only because of this knowledge that I have worked on studying and put into application that I think this year has gone that way for our family, for us. And so I just want to encourage you that you may feel like looking at the world right now that everything is coming spiraling down, but there are still so many opportunities to continue building your wealth and to really become that affluent vision of a woman that you have in your head. The first thing that I want to say that I did was I had a 401k account that I could take advantage of from my employer. And they did have a match, but at the time when I started the account, I was still working on paying off debt. So this was about 2.5 years ago. I went ahead and started the 401k account, but I only funded it with 3% of my paycheck each month. So I did not go the full amount that I can fund that account with, but I went ahead and did the 3%, got the match for that so that I could start building up my account. Now, I have increased that, especially since the market is on sale right now, essentially. When the market dips like it has this year, that is the best opportunity to take any cash that you have and go ahead and start investing it, because you're going to be buying at a price that is the lowest. And over time, the stock market has been shown to grow year over year. Now, there are some years where there are dips, but this is why it's so important to have an excellent money mindset. You can't have any emotional attachment to the money that you see fluctuating in your investment account. So even my 401k, I looked at that account back in March this year, and it was very upsetting to see that. But because I had done the research and I have been studying, I knew that the market was going to bounce back up. So I did not sell anything. I did not change my allocations. I left it alone. And that is one of the keys if you are someone who has a low risk tolerance. This is something to go ahead and decide. What is your risk tolerance to investing? Is it high? Is it low? Are you able to stomach seeing an account like that drop within 1 month and wonder if it will ever go back up? The answer is yes, but you need to know that in advance. And if you just can't stomach that, if you've got some emotions that you need to work on, keep that in mind. I think that you're able to still generate wealth by being a conservative investor. Now, my plan is I have a very high risk tolerance, and because I know that I have different sources of income. I know that I can essentially turn anything on or dial anything up that I need to if I have one of those sources of income go away. So that is something that I want you to keep in mind. You need to decide that because every single person is different, and that's going to affect how you continue along with these next steps that I'm going to share. The next accounts that I recommend setting up are just your regular brokerage accounts. Anyone should be able to set up a brokerage account. If you are not employed by an employer that offers a 401k, you can still go to an online broker and you can set up a brokerage account and start investing immediately. You can start depositing $50 a month in there. You can start with $100. But I actually have and recommend setting up at least 2 brokerage accounts. I currently have 3, and then my husband has 2. And we use them for different purposes, which I'll dive into that more in the next video in the series. But you want to go ahead and get your brokerage account set up. One is going to be more for like your fund that you might be replacing your savings account with. Essentially, you want to use a brokerage account if you have a high risk tolerance, if you are okay with having some fluctuations throughout the year, and just understanding where those are coming from is good. But I now use my brokerage account like my savings account was previously, and I only keep a small amount of funding in my savings accounts for different goals and things we have that we know we're going to want to take it out right away to go ahead and use. In the description below, I will leave you some links to brokers that I use currently so that you can look into those for yourself. With these brokerage accounts, I would recommend finding an ETF or an index fund to invest in. You may want to have a couple of those in your account that you have, allocated some of your funding towards for each month. You want to keep it diverse. But the reason why index funds are really great is because you're not going to be investing into one specific company, and it's a little bit of a safer way to invest over time, because those index funds will mirror a certain area of the market. Generally, index funds are what many investors like myself and non-institutional investors are using in order to build wealth over a long period of time. So they are pretty safe. The S&P 500, I really like some of the tech index funds, OGIG, or there's also, I'm looking at some of the innovation funds like ARK. I'll get more into how you would go about doing some of your due diligence on your investments in a further video, but those are just some that I am personally using and invested in right now. But that is not saying that if you go and invest in them, you are going to make money or you're going to make a certain % return. Again, you have to do your own due diligence when you set up these accounts and you decide to go ahead and start to invest in one of those index funds yourself. Okay, so we're nearing the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this information about how I got started will help you to get started too. Go ahead and start your reading list. I'm going to share a couple of YouTube channels that I really like. So I really like Graham Stephan for both personal finance and investing type of content. And I also like another YouTuber named Andre Jake, I think is how you say his last name. But he's got some really great information as well about investing on his channel. So you can get started with those. I'll share some further resources in the future as well about just specific, stock market information, trading, that sort of thing. But I want to go ahead and keep this as short as possible and digestible as possible so that you don't get overwhelmed. Make sure you join me next week. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you won't miss when that video goes live. And I look forward to hearing what you think in the comments about how to get started with investing, and do you plan on getting started right away? Now is actually a really great time to get started because the market is pretty low. It's like everything is on sale essentially. And so if you have some cash just sitting in a bank account and you want to go ahead and take it and start investing, I think that it is going to be a great time to do so. So again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.